Hey everyone, it's Epoch here, and welcome to my entry into this week's comic book cover challenge set by Alan at Comic Collector Geek. This week's theme was vampire covers, so I'm going to take a look at 10 covers from my personal collection that show off vampires. So let's take a look. I'm going to start off this week with an honourable mention, which is this Ashcan-sized Archie's Madhouse Mayhem, which was free as part of the Halloween Comic Fest a few years ago. The reason it's an honourable mention is although Archie's kind of dressed up as Dracula here for Halloween, obviously he's not a real vampire in this instance, but I just thought it was kind of funny to show him kind of bobbing for apples and having the apple there sort of stuck in his vampire teeth as part of his Dracula costume. So I just thought that was a fun one to show as an honourable mention. So that's Archie's Madhouse Mayhem from Halloween Comic Fest. That's a free issue given away as part of that. So let's take a look at the top 10 proper. In at number 10 this week, we have Star Trek Lower Decks number 2, cover A. This is quite a recent comic book. The story of the first few issues of the Star Trek Lower Decks comic book series is a holodeck episode featuring Dracula. So on the cover here, we have Ensign Boimler sort of done up as a Dracula there with his vampire teeth there and the blood kind of dripping down. And the rest of the crew here at the bottom kind of all drained of life. That's why they're in this grey tone here. But you can see the red of the blood seeping from their neck wounds. Apart from Tendy, down at the bottom is the blood from her that's seeping is green because she's an Orion who have green blood. But yeah, so I just thought this was a fun one to kick it off with Star Trek Lower Decks number 2 with Ensign Boimler on the cover as Dracula as a vampire. The number 9 spot this week goes to Draculina number 3, which is a beautiful cover by Colette Turner. Here we have Draculina on the cover, who is of course Vampirella's sister. I just thought this was a really cool one, as you kind of see the blood dripping from both her hands there, and she's just kind of attacked someone to get the blood. So I just thought this was a fun one for the Draculina series. So that's Draculina number 3. In at number 8, we have Tomb of Dracula number 43. This is one of my favourite Bernie Wrightson covers. Here we have Dracula on the cover, kind of rising from the grave. He's grabbing this lady here. She starts to kind of run in fear for her life. So I've just always loved this cover by Bernie Wrightson and you have the cool kind of full moon in the background as well. So that's Tomb of Dracula number 43 with Dracula rising from the grave and then chasing after this woman here. So yeah, Tomb of Dracula 43. And at number 7, we have Vampirella number 1 from Harris Comics. This is just a cover I've always really liked. This is a cool Adam Hughes cover. And we have kind of Vampirella on the cover twice, here in the foreground, just in one of our classic poses. And in the background, this kind of floating head of her, where she's sucking her thumb, which is covered in blood. I just thought that was always kind of a fun kind of cutesy image in a way, where she's sucking her thumb, which is covered in blood. So yeah, that's Vampirella number 1 from Harris Comics. The number 6 spot this week goes to Angel number 36, which is this beautiful cover again by this time by Jenny Friesen. She was doing the main covers of Angel at the time. And again, we have this vampire lady here who's just sucked this guy completely dry. You can see he's all kind of lifeless and colourless there, and kind of like the Vampirella issue I showed before this one, we have the vampire kind of licking her lips and sucking her thumb there, just as she's finished her meal of blood from this poor guy here. So that's Angel number 36 with the cover by Jenny Friesen. And at number 5 this week, we have Bike Club Vampire Crime Unit number 1, which is the first issue in a 5-issue miniseries, which is a follow-up to the Bike Club miniseries. On the cover here, which is by Frank Quitely, we have this kind of beautiful vampire here. Just kind of staring into the camera, but she's only covered up by the kind of police crime scene tape, which is an interesting cover. So yeah, Bike Club Vampire Crime Unit number 1. The number 4 spot this week goes to Domino number 8, which is a Morbius cover. Here we have Morbius creeping up behind Domino and ready to bite her neck there. As her neck's exposed there, and he's ready to suck the blood. So that's Domino number 8, featuring Morbius attacking Domino. And at number 3 this week, we have Vampironica number 1. I forget which cover this is. I don't think it's cover A, but I can't really tell just now because the barcode for the Archie books are on the back of the book, which is in front of the board. So this is Vampironica number 1, where we have this kind of extreme kind of close up of Vampironica's face. I just always loved this cover, the way it's lit, the way it makes her look. You can see the kind of bright red blood of which matches her lipstick as it kind of dribbles down her chin there. She's just obviously had a meal. But I just always loved this cover for Vampironica number 1. Showed number 5 or one of the covers for number 5 for this mini series in the Bikini Challenge months and months ago. So if you want to check out that cover, you can check that out there. But just now I'm showing Vampironica number 1, which is just really well rendered, kind of beautiful cover of Vampironica there. She has smearing the blood away from her mouth. So that's Vampironica number 1. And at number 2 this week, we have the Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 8 Tales of the Vampires one shot, which is this beautiful painted cover by Joe Chen. Here we have the vampire who's biting this guy's neck, and you can see the kind of blood dribbling down as they're drinking the blood out of the neck. I've just always loved the way that this cover's been painted and rendered by Joe Chen. It's just a great depiction of the kind of the classic vampire bite there. So that's Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 8 Tales of the Vampires one shot. And my number 1 pick this week goes to another recent book. This time it's DC vs. Vampires number 2. And this is the variant cover featuring Supergirl as a vampire. I just love the way that Supergirl has been rendered here. It just looks amazing as a vampire. You can see our vampire teeth there. I have 2 copies of this. I have the standard trade dress variant, which I think is limited to 3,000 copies. And then I have the minimal trade dress variant, which is limited to 1,500 copies. But this cover's so good, I just had to get it twice. I just love the way that Supergirl has been rendered here as a vampire, and I hope you enjoy it too. So that's DC versus Vampires number 2, Supergirl vampire variant. So that was my entry into this week's comic book cover challenge set by Alan at Comic Collector Geek. This week's theme was, of course, vampire covers. So if you'd like to take part, then just make a video showing off 10 vampire covers from your personal comic book collection, and use the hashtags Friday Comic Challenge and hashtag vampire cover, so that way everyone in the community can get a look at the comics that you show in your video, and that way we might see something that we want to add to our own collection, or you might see something from our videos that you want to add to your collection. If you'd like to check out some of my previous entries into the comic book cover challenges set by Alan, then please click this playlist that's linked here at the side, and otherwise I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.